Hello everybody, and just here and welcome back to Ancient Magus Bride, Mahoutsukai no Yome. There hasn't been any Mahoutsukai no Yome on the channel for quite a while. Maybe you heard, maybe not, but I've been busy essentially finishing the year at school. I'm a teacher, if you didn't know, and by the end of the year, there's always some exams, makeup exams, lots of documentation to fill, stuff like that. So I had to temporarily drop something. Now I'm picking it up. We are getting back to Mahoutsukai no Yome because it's summer vacation, so I have 2 months completely off, and I'll be able to make up for the lost time. And Symphogear ended, so that also gives me another slot to work with. Also, I'm recording this episode a little bit late, so if I happen to yawn or stuff like that, that's why. I intended to record it tomorrow, but my mom figured out we should paint the whole flat, so we're gonna spend the tomorrow painting, and I won't have the time to record anything. So recording today it is, even though it's late, even though I'm a little sleepy. But yeah, you gotta do what you gotta do, right? Okay, what happened in the previous episode? I did go for a brief skim over episode 3 because it's been quite a long time ago, so I might have forgotten things. I certainly forgot the names of some of the secondary characters, so that's gonna be something I'm gonna have to struggle with a little. But in the previous episode, there was a meeting that Elias had about the safety of his classes. In short, Chise and Alice met the bowl cut guy who wanted Chise to teach him magic for some reason. We don't know why, but there is something about him and the magic that's odd in some way. He seems really desperate to learn it, and yet the spirits don't really want to help him with that because he smells of rust. And we don't know what smelling of rust means, so that's gonna be interesting, I'm assuming. What else happened? We got back. We got to meet the entire cast essentially at that table in the cafeteria. So there's that guy in headphones who has a very negative reaction to magic. There is, I think, like 2 sets of twins at least. There's the chubby girl who's fascinated with Elias for some reason, and a couple other characters that didn't really, stay in my head for long enough. And Philomela is not, that's one name I remembered. Philomela is not a part of our main group. She's a part of some separate group. She's with the blonde Ojo-sama, whose name I forgot, and I think one of the sets of twins is also with them. So they are like a separate group, and I wonder how will Philomela be pulled into Chise's friend group, should she establish one. What else happened? We got back to the farm, of course. Well, farm. We get back to the garden, to the home of Elias. It's pretty much big enough to be a farm or a ranch of some sort, but I digress. Where we met Joseph without his eye, because Chise has it. He talked with Chise a little bit about the curse and stuff like that, but Chise wants to borrow the eye for a little while longer, and then Joseph went back to sleep in some well, which is an interesting choice of an abode. And eventually Stella arrived. to meet with Chise, and they were both... No, I think it was just Chise who was whisked away to some watery land. That's like the land, the lake kind of thing where Elias's dragon father, quote unquote, their master resides. I forgot her name. It was something from Christian or Jewish mythology, but I don't remember the name. Rahab. Rahab is, I think, something from Muslim or Eastern, like Middle Eastern mythology. I'm not sure, but Rahab is her name. And we know that Rahab was in contact with the not the headmaster, one of the teachers at the academy that Chise is attending. So perhaps Rahab wants to check on Chise. No, there's the deal with the bolo tie. The bolo tie that Elias received from Rahab and then gave the bolo to Chise because he now wears the gift from Chise and Chise wears his bolo tie. So probably Rahab was trying to get Elias through the bolo, but she got Chise instead. Or maybe she wanted to get Chise. I don't know, we'll see. This show is full of mystery, and I, of course, would not have it any other way. I think we're up to speed now. What do I expect from this episode? I don't know, kind of hard to tell. There's gonna be a meeting with Rahab, and Rahab will probably have something mysterious and interesting to say. And then Stella will probably have some questions, and then I think we will go back to the academy. And there's going to be some academy shenanigans, maybe something with that like weird underground lab that we've seen in episode 2 ? Maybe. I know, there's plenty of plot lines that were started, and I'm not sure which one of them will we follow in particular. But I think that's enough talking. We should start watching instead. And to do that, of course, you will need your subs to follow along. I'm gonna need my sound to hear what's going on. And I'm gonna have to ask you for your support. Support the channel if you want monetarily on Patreon, for example, or not. Share my content, spread the word. It costs you absolutely nothing and helps the channel a lot. And now with all of that out of the way, we can start watching episode 4 of... not Gundam Witch from Mercury, no, episode 4 of Ancient Magus Bride in 3, 2, 1, go. Yeah, and that's how she got whisked away. Okay, so it's a sea, not a lake, as I thought. And yeah, that's Rahab's place. Yeah, she stayed behind. Hello. Rahab, okay, I got that right. Demon, okay. Okay, just a nickname. Sure. Okay. I'm gonna have to Google Rahab and figure out what's she based on. The very same. So Rahab is essentially Chise's great grandma? No, great grandma. Right? Because Elias would be like a father, or the father bride, kind of both. I missed this. I really missed this hook. Yep. Rahab is essentially Lindel's mother, and Lindel is Elias's father. So yeah, great grandma kind of sort of deal. You know what? I like this opening. I wasn't sure about it initially, because I think the season 1 opening is still better, but it's good. And my hair tie is skewed. Whatever. But yeah, the hook of that's enough for me to like it. So yeah, that's better. And the pumpkins. The cowl does not make the monk. Cowl being the bolo tie, and monk being sorcerer, wizard, witch. Maybe. Oh, she's having quality time, all right. Just not with Stella. I was thinking of getting a bolo tie, you know. I don't know where I'd wear it, but wouldn't hurt having one, right? I have a regular tie in my closet, so why not a bolo? Yeah, kinda, sorta. Yeah. I mean, you're assuming that Elias knows what he's talking about. Yeah. I don't think Elias understands human relationships and stuff, so him saying bride doesn't really carry as much meaning. Okay, time flows differently here. Of course. What do you know, Rahab? That's an interesting mood to be in. Oh, that's some pretty fireplace. And grass growing on the roof. I would love to spend the weekend in this hut, honestly. Also, he can turn into a human, so... Memories of the hand, memories of the eye, memories of the tie. I mean, it's kind of what's happening, so... Yeah. Do you have any photo albums, perhaps? Okay, so a place out of time and out of space. An interesting different form. All hairy. Okay. Who to imitate? Okay, so that's the very first thing he jumps to. Imitation. Interesting. Some of the neighbors did call him like not an imitate, kind of like an imitation, I think, something like that. But it's interesting that he doesn't jump into like wanting to be his own person, but rather to imitate someone. Although, I guess you do learn by imitating, so. Okay, emotions. We're getting philosophical here. At least he's dressed up well, so. Better than the hairy maned monster that he appeared as. Hard to smile with a skull for a head, but. Oh, and that's why he wanted a bride. Yeah, okay. That's how he got that idea. The closest one, helping the most, yada yada yada. Okay, so that's the meaning of a bride for Elias. Okay, so it doesn't have like those, deeper connotations to him. It's just a person you want to live with and be partnered with. So Chise fits the bill perfectly. You didn't mention love, although I'm not sure he would understand love, so. Yep. Essentially a roommate and a friend. Okay, I think I even had those suspicions back in season 1 and back when reading the manga that he doesn't quite understand what a bride is. Well, that's another emotion you just learned. Yeah, sure. Yeah, there is something to it, of course. Yep, she can't envision that someone would care about her because, I mean, that's the environment she grew up with in. So, okay, that's a way to look at it. Hey, that's actually a great idea. That's actually a great idea. You don't know how to act to not damage yourself. Act in a way to not damage this thing because it's precious to me. Okay, that's actually incredibly smart. Yeah, you're a friend at least. Maybe invite Rahab for tea so that she can see it. Waku waku. Yeah, we know it to be true. Also imitating Rahab, who took him in, perhaps. Okay, we still have some time. I was afraid it's just gonna be a Talking Heads episode. Yeah, I think that's about the best term to use. A partner. Sure, that's a useful skill to have. Right, just don't say the whole truth. Also, I didn't know they have a greenhouse next to the house. What did you smell, Chise? What did you smell on Stella? Or do you just like smelling your friends? I don't know. Maybe comes with the animal hand. Hello, Philomela. What's up? Oh, the tea she got from Chise. That's not how you make tea. Okay, what's your deal? Why did you throw it out? Is Philomela gonna be like an antagonist for a while? Enemies to friends. Whomst? Oh, okay, the center postman. Okay, a red TARDIS in the middle of a forest. I'm guessing it's unpleasant. Yeah, okay. So why are you using it instead of just, you know, flying? We know Chise can fly, or teleporting. Ah. So it's a nether highway. Yeah, it's a nether highway. Barghests? Or some other sort of a monster? Yep, monster indeed. The fuck are those? Lizard dogs? Okay, I guess they vaguely resemble dogs. I'm guessing they will not stay in this region and they will, of course, deviate from the path. They'll kill you. Oh, oh, oh. Okay. Uh, I'd rather not. Okay, what are those crystals though? What the fuck are those monsters based on? Are those monsters even based on some sort of a mythology? Or is it just Mahoutsukai no Yome original? And where did Elias go? Is he inside of Chise's shadow? Okay. That's an interesting way to get into the college. Show your ID to a nicely dressed lizard in a locker. Okay, can he like see ghosts or something? See and hear them? And he's scared of them, so he's using... And what the fuck are you doing commuting with a dark cloud, Philomela? That's a method of transportation for the bad guys. They were making paper. Are you afraid of paper? The fuck's going on? I don't know. And I love not knowing in this case. Yeah, I have no clue what the fuck was any of that. Pesky eyelashes. Actually, there's one thing I want to note down, at least for now. We're going to watch this episode again, of course. And perhaps there will be more things I will want to note down, but right now, Philo, Mela, enemies to friends. I wonder. It really looks to me like Philomela might be the archetype of the antagonist's grunt who eventually switches sides. I don't know though. Okay, that's spoilers, so we're gonna skip that and not watch it. Okay, and instead of watching spoilers, we're gonna watch this episode again, shall we? Yes, we shall. We shall indeed. So, a bit of last time on Dragon Ball Z moment, but we got a full explanation of the Bolotai and full confirmation that it is indeed the same that Elias has. Visiting Rahab and the feet. I wonder how much art of Rahab did this scene spawn. I'll have to Google Rahab in more ways than one, I guess. Okay, in any case, Rahab. Okay, it's Hebrew. Literally means a prostitute woman, but Rahab is also a sea monster, apparently. Rahab, yeah, from Hebrew. Modern Rahav, Tiberian Rahab with the last B underlined, blusterer. It's used in the Hebrew Bible as a term to indicate pride or arrogance. Is a mystical sea monster as an emblematic or poetic name for Egypt and for the sea. Okay. Rahab from Hebrew, Rachav, Rahav, I don't know how to read it. A spacious place is also one of the Hebrew words for the abyss. Abyss being some bottomless place. I mean, logical, I guess, but I never knew that Bible had mention of an abyss of the sort. Today I learned, I guess. So, okay, it makes sense. Mystical sea monster, she lives at the sea, and she said that one of the terms, one of the nicknames she accepts is sea monster. Makes sense. Poetic name, emblematic or poetic name for Egypt. Shistan, I guess. And for the sea again, sea. Biblical usage as a primeval sea monster. Further information, Leviathan, so I'm guessing kind of sort of different name for Leviathan, maybe. Appears in Psalm 89, Isaiah 51, Job 26. Primeval, chaotic, multi-headed sea dragon or Leviathan. And the Babylonians had something similar, Marduk and Tiamat. Yeah, Marduk and Tiamat, who were battling for the supreme power in the Enuma Elish, or however you pronounce it. Again, those are odd words for me, so if I mispronounce something, forgive me. As insolence or pride in Isaiah 37 and in the book of Job, and as Egypt in Hebrew, but there is nothing about it in the Coptic language. I'm learning so much. In Jewish folklore, mythical sea monster dragon, yep, we know that. And in modern culture, official Hebrew name for the planet Neptune, interestingly. Several Israel Navy submarines bear that name. And it's a vampire boss in Legacy of Kain Soul River. And also disambiguation. Okay, Rahab term and Rahab Legacy of Kain. Okay. Sure. Is a prominent character in the book of Joshua. It is a girl's name, but now rare. Okay, so Rahab does come from mythology, several mythologies, even mostly Jewish. Sure. Mage, sorcerer, demon of the sea. Checks out. I really like Rahab not wearing her lab coat. She really looks like a refined lady. Seems to be authentic. And she sensed someone else wearing the bolo, so she summoned Chise, of course. Who might you be to Elias? Well, that's a question. The cowl does not make the monk. One, bolo. Wearing the bolo does not make an Elias. Two, pretending to be a human does not make a human. Three, I know what would be a third possible meaning. Just those two I can come up with. I heard you've started your new life, so I brought this to celebrate. What is this exactly? Some gifts, for sure, but what are those gifts, I wonder? Okay, so Elias was very much attached to it, to the bolo. And we learn about the reason later on. Chise is teaching him about being human, of course, the bride, and Rahab immediately knows something's wrong with the bride, with the whole bride thing. Those are some really pretty looking logs. Sea breeze, damp rocks, old wood, the scent of fire. As I said, I would love to live in this hut for at least like a weekend, maybe even a week. It seems like such a nice and cozy place, especially the smell of damp rocks. I went out today to the hardware store because I had to buy some stuff for Gunpla building. Because if you didn't read the community post, I ordered myself Chuchu's Demi Trainer and Guel's Dilanza, and I'm gonna be building them live sometime in the future, probably after I'm done with Witch from Mercury. And I was in need of some nippers and stuff like that. And it was raining, and I never really walk in the rain, but this time I did. And the smell of wet grass, wet concrete, wet soil. I love the smell of wet. I love the smell of wet shit. Okay, okay, maybe not the smell of wet shit, but the smell of wet environment. so to speak. Apparently, a human sense of smell is particularly tuned to be able to smell moisture in the air, and humans are able to relatively well tell when rain is coming just from the sense of smell, because they can smell the rain from so far away. Interesting thing, and I guess that's why people pretty much universally, I think, like the smell of rain, the smell of the air after a storm, stuff like that. I've never met a person who wouldn't like that smell. People might not like mint or mangoes or whatever, but people universally like the smell of rain. I have a coffee grinder like that. I don't have a setup like that for brewing though. I don't have any milk. Is dogs drinking milk something meaningful? I'm not sure. Also, he could always turn into a human and just drink a coffee. It's not like he's gonna die because of it. Dogs do die because of coffee and cocoa, so don't give them chocolate, don't give them coffee. Same goes for cats. But Ruth isn't really a dog, so probably wouldn't hurt. I need to get myself some interesting coffee brewing setup. Like the thing where you, I think it's called a French press, something like that, or some filter setup like that. I have a coffee machine, but it's kind of boring making coffee in a coffee machine, right? Sorry. I would love to have something like that. It's odd. I'm sure this is our first time meeting, and yet I wonder why. Is it because this place and thus Rahab is out of place, out of space, and out of time, and they've met in the future, so Chise got the memories of the future of Rahab right now, or some timey-wimey shenanigans like that? Or is it the memory of one of the things that Chise possesses that don't belong to her that's speaking? Because she has the dragon arm, maybe the dragon met Rahab. She has Joseph's eye, perhaps Joseph met Rahab, and she has, of course, the bolo tie, so perhaps the memories of the bolo are, or something like that. You do resemble them, Lindel and Elias. Yeah, I'd say it's Lindel and Elias that resemble Rahab, but sure. You become like the company you keep, indeed. First time we learned that Elias lived here for a while. All we've seen so far is that he visited with Lindel and then they went away. But apparently Elias came back, probably after the whole thing when the villagers chased them out of a village. Maybe. Just spitballing here. There are too many humans. So I guess he did see some other places, so maybe it was even later than that. This seems like 1920, yeah, like 19th, 18th century. So apparently a lot, although no, we don't know how long, how much time did go between Lindel meeting Elias and this moment, so it could have been hundreds of years just as well. They're all the same, yet far too different. I don't know who to imitate. Right, if humans were all the same, he would just be able to imitate a human, a Joe human, and he would be perfectly fine, but humans are way too different. So he cannot imitate a Joe human. I might be too hung up on it, on Elias imitating. Elias imitating episode 4. I'm just gonna note it in the brackets. it seems significant somehow. I don't know how, I don't know why, not yet, but it seems significant that Elias is all about imitation. His first instinct wasn't, how do I live among humans? How do I change myself to be able to live among humans? How do I understand humans? No. How do I imitate them? Not, I don't know how to live among them, I don't know who to imitate. Which makes me wonder if Elias is perhaps some more or less artificial being that was created for the purpose of imitating. Essentially like a Doppler from the Witcher universe. He has great abilities of changing his appearance. He's taken so many different forms that it really seems like his whole shtick is being able to imitate real well. So I wonder if he was created somehow with the explicit purpose of being an imitator. Elias was created to be the ultimate Doppler. I'm not saying doppelganger, you could say that, but doppelgangers are usually, just a single person, but Doppler can turn into whatever. Maybe there are some other monsters in mythology that can do that. Changelings? Not really. Changelings take the form of a child and then swoop the child out, so not really a changeling, but something in that vein, essentially. Elias's whole shtick being imitation. I don't know who to imitate, so I'm gonna pick one human and imitate them. And it's gonna be a Rahab. Something in my body is telling me that I wanna know. I really wonder what the deal is with Elias having amnesia initially when he was found by Lindell, and his ability to imitate and his drive, as we learn, his drive to know. It really gives me the vibes of kind of Shaltir from season 1 of Overlord. She was given a task, and then the person giving that task died, and so Shaltir was left with a task and with skills and stuff like that, but with no reason for those tasks. Right? It almost seems like someone or something created Elias with the mimicry. Mimic, not Doppler. Mimic. Not in the D&D meaning of a chest with teeth, but mimic as in a person or a creature that can mimic others. Elias being a mimic was created as a mimic and perhaps given a task to blend in with the humans for whatever reason, and then Elias as creator disappeared, somehow went out of the picture, and so Elias was left with just a vague sense of direction and his abilities, and not much more. Maybe. Yeah, it's really giving me those vibes. For a few years, maybe a few decades, what's the difference really? Learning everything, imitating everything except emotions. It was only Chise who was able to teach Elias. Elias. I keep saying Elias, but they pronounce it Elias. Elias emotions. Teaching about family, of course. Brother, mother, sister, and a bride. And of course, Rahab's description of a bride is what caused all of the shenanigans with Chise. A bride is simply someone who you want to live with, who you want to share your time with, who you want to be with. That's a bride, generally speaking. And so Elias was looking for someone who he would like to be with, who he would like to live with. And he found Chise, and she's his roommate and a friend, so basically a bride. Yeah. Okay. That's what that was about. Indeed. Indeed. And now question is, are we going to go in the direction of Elias doesn't know what a bride is, but slowly discovers that and actually wants Chise to be his bride? Kind of like plot lines of some rom-coms where two people have to pretend that they are a couple and eventually grow close enough to actually be a couple, or stuff like that. Very popular trope. So I wonder if something similar is going to happen, or are they going to be like, no, Elias didn't know what a bride is, he wanted a friend and a roommate. And they are friends and roommates, and Elias is fine with that. He simply misunderstood what a bride is. He doesn't have any romantic feelings for Chise besides just platonic love between a master and a student, right? I wonder if it's gonna go in that direction. When Chise was asleep with her injuries after fighting Joseph, why does Chise continue to act even when it brings her harm? Indeed. Nothing is important to Chise. That's essentially her mindset. Many times I compared it to a situation I had when I would walk along the edge of the sidewalk thinking, oh, if the truck coming on hits me and I die, so be it. If it doesn't hit me and I don't die, so be it. Complete apathy, and that's essentially Chise, right? If I use this spell and it works and it helps the person, cool. If I use this spell and it kills me, cool. I don't care either way. Yeah, that describes Chise really well. And she doesn't expect to be valued the same way herself. So she doesn't even have that like stopping force that some people who experience, for example, suicidal thoughts or suicidal ideations have, right? I'm not gonna do it because my mom would be sad. I'm not gonna do it because my cat would be sad, right? Those thoughts genuinely stop people from unaliving themselves. Chise doesn't have that because why would anybody care about me? She doesn't have the thought of someone's gonna be sad if I die. Why would they be? No one's gonna be sad if I die, so I might as well. She doesn't even have that one little stopper. She has like no breaks towards complete self-sacrifice. Nor does she have any intent of sharing her pain. Yep. So she doesn't even want to share her pain because why would somebody care about me being depressed? No one gives a fuck, of course, that's obvious. She believes her pain is her own to suffer. Yep, very much so. And so, very important bolo. I can't have it break. Yeah, you won't go getting yourself into trouble if you're wearing this. You don't know how to act without putting yourself on the line, so act in a way that's not going to put this thing on the line. If you don't value, right? Like, you value me and this is important to me, so of course you value this bolo tie. You don't value your life. But valuing this bolo tie will stop you from being reckless. That's actually genius on Elias's part. Like, no joke. Genius. Absolutely genius. And that's another parallel kind of to how some people deal with suicidal thoughts. There is many accounts of people who, for example, found a stray dog or a stray cat, or some relative's dog had to stay with them, and they would stop themselves from doing the deed because who would care for the cat? Who would feed the dog? Right? They don't necessarily value their own life, and they kind of want to end it, but they value that animal. They have compassion for it, so they're not gonna actively harm that animal. And that's kind of the same thing, right? You don't value your life, but you value this, so don't put your life on the line because this thing will also be destroyed. Perfect. Amazing. I love it. I can't have her break. Yup. I'm not really functioning as one, so I'm not particularly disappointed. Indeed, Chise doesn't really function as a bride. Interesting bit in her eyes. It's a little bit of a different chibi style than what we usually see. Interesting. The black outlines around her eyes. Yeah, whether I'm his bride or not doesn't change what we have. We're friends and roommates, and a master and a teacher, and a master and a student. Whatever you want to call it, sure, that's fine. Doesn't matter. What was that saying? Would a rose? I think it's from Shakespeare. Would a rose by a different name not smell the same, or something like that? Whatever. Semantics. He said you couldn't even teach him to smile, but he is smiling. And he gets angry, and he gets jealous, and he's giddy these days. So Chise managed to achieve what Rahab couldn't. Give Elias some emotions. Maybe he doesn't know. I mean, we know for a fact that he doesn't recognize those emotions, but they are there, and that's what matters. Elias isn't really interested in food or his home, but he has a home he lives in. He has a farm, and that's because he imitated Rahab. Indeed, if he didn't imitate Rahab, he would be living in a grotto somewhere in the forest, because he can. I mean, he can just hunt wild animals and grab some berries, assuming he even needs to eat, and just live in solitude. There's nothing stopping him. He could be wandering the world. But he imitated Rahab, and Rahab dresses nicely, so he dresses nicely. Rahab lives in a home, so he lives in a home. Rahab has a garden, so he has a garden. Cool. And that's the Elias who rescued me, so through proxy, it was kind of you who rescued me as well, because you taught all those things to Elias. I love how they do eyes and eyelashes in this show. I would wax my eyelids if I had this many eyelashes, I swear. Have confidence and work on saving yourself. And of course, keeping secrets. That's gonna be relevant somehow in the future, I have no doubt. Keeping secrets, handling secrets, facts and truths, and half-truths and half-secrets and stuff like that. It's important to operate well in that area. Mages were supposed to make an effort not to lie. You're not gonna be lying, you're just not gonna be saying the whole truth. We got lost in a fog. That's a truth. You don't need to mention Rahab anywhere, right? And of course, especially when negotiating with neighbors, because neighbors are cunning, and you need to be just as cunning as them. I can't give any more advice as a human. That's interesting. Can you give more advice as a sea monster? Can you give more advice as an ideal? Can you give more advice as a poetic description of Egypt? I don't know, maybe. You'll be perplexed by many things you can see and many you can't. Of course, I mean, it's been the running theme so far, so I trust that our arms and legs will know what must be done. Why is Chise smelling Stella? I don't know. Back at school, and what the flying fuck are you doing, Philomela? I thought you were a friend, but now I'm kind of wary of you. Crystallizing some weird thing. We know that Chise's magic kind of sprouts those like crystal flowers, so that's probably it. No matter how many times I check, it's just tea imbued with magic power, which would imply that Philomela expected it to be something more. Perhaps Philomela is wary of Chise. Perhaps she's also a little scared of mages, as a sorceress herself. So she thought that maybe Chise had some ulterior motive or did something to that tea. But no, it's just tea with some magic power. And she throws that tea away. Interestingly, I wonder why. If it's just tea with magic power, you would assume it's safe to drink, so why wouldn't you? Yeah, I've no clue what's the deal with Philomela. Back passage. Yeah, there is... I think it comes from children cautionary tales, right? Like, don't go there because you won't find your way out. Kind of scaring children with that stuff because they could genuinely get stuck and hurt. And from like reality of children crawling into stuff like that in a route and getting stuck or getting hurt somehow and just dying and nobody ever finding them. And oh, it was the root that consumed them, or stuff like that. And of course, it made its way into mythology, right? All those caverns, they of course lead somewhere. Walking under a fallen tree, walking through a threshold of any sort, that can transport you to a completely different place, completely different location, out of this space-time. Unused little bridge to Terabithia, or Terabithil, or whatever was the name. Cool movie. I recommend watching it and preparing a box of tissues because you might cry. But yeah, threshold, unused routes, unused places. It all has magic power. Of course it does. Why exactly are they using this back passage though? I have no clue. I don't know. I have no idea. They could just teleport using thorn magic. Chise could fly there as a phoenix. Hell, they could just take a cab. Or a train. Or a plane. Or... you know what I mean? There's so many ways that are safer than this. There's no telling what'll happen if you get lost. The back passages are channels through this realm. The entrance and the exit can be quite close together. Yeah, the space works differently here. And those weird things. Dogs. If that's a dog, well, shit. I really don't envy the world you live in. Great design, though, for sure. We won't make a mess, and we've brought payment for passage. Reminds me of Trolls from The Witcher 3. The mission where you have to charge the thingamajig with the power of elements, and you need to pass through some trolls. And hey, we're not gonna touch your shit. We're gonna leave our weapons here. Let us pass. And the trolls let them pass. And it's very similar. As long as we stay in this region. Yeah, you can use the route you said you're gonna use, so go ahead. You paid for it, you paid the toll. We have no problem with it, but don't you fucking deviate. Also, I love how creepy this is. Like, you'd expect them to tear into this meat with their teeth, and that would be scary. because, oh, sharp fangs. But no, they use their tongue, prehensile tongue suckers, and they seem to suck the juices out of the meat, and that's worse than scary. That's unsettling. That's unsettling because it's something you did not expect. I certainly didn't. And Joseph's eye. Yep, that's Joseph's eye activating somehow and allowing Chise to communicate with the thing. Will chase you forever. That's a new skill that Chise just earned. She leveled up after meeting Rahab, finishing that side quest, and she got a new skill on the skill tree, talking with weird dog monsters. And yeah, swallow that crystal thing. Why? I don't fucking know, and I don't think I want to know. Probably something like a ticket, right? Like, you have this in your body now, it will become part of you, and we will know by your energy, by your scent, by your whatever, that you are authorized to go through this path. Probably something along those lines. I do wonder very much if it's actually based on some mythology. I'm gonna look it up later on in some discussion thread about this episode on Reddit or Tumblr or I don't know, wherever. But if you have any idea about any sort of like mythology or fairy tale or something where those dogs and those scales and stuff like that might be from, do let me know, please, in the comments or on my Discord or wherever you feel like. Try to use the same entrance and exit. Indeed. And of course, I don't actually know how much they'll tolerate either. Maybe if you go through a different exit, they won't care. Maybe they'll rip your heart out. It's a bet you might take, but don't. Also interesting bit. Entrances to this realm between worlds is usually like a cavernous route or underneath a tree or a pedestrian bridge or stuff like that. This time it's just a wall. She just jumped out of the wall. Also, this bit. I'm assuming this is like a normal building. It's not the magical school. It's probably a regular school or something of the sort. And there is a lizard in a top hat with hands that checks your student pass and lets you through. I love it. See, this is a thing I really like about the world and the magic system, quote unquote, in this show. And in the manga, because it's based on the manga, of course. And that's also the difference between fantasy, like regular fantasy, and fable, fairy tale. This is very much fairy tale stuff. In fantasy, this lizard would be a race of lizard humanoids that do some odd jobs because they are small, right? Something of that sort. It would be categorized somehow. In a fairy tale, it's just a lizard in a top hat that checks your student pass because, of course, there isn't a tribe of lizards with hands. There isn't a race of lizards with hands. It's just this specific creature that does this specific thing. And you don't question it. You don't look any deeper into it. It is what it is. I really like it. I really think that magic systems, magic in a world really loses something when it's explained fully and properly. Like, rigid magic systems really lose something. Something of that wonder. Now, of course, on the other end of the scale, we have magic that can do whatever, which is like Lord of the Rings, for example. There aren't really any mechanics, any magic. If Gandalf wants to make the army of Uruk-hai fart on command, he can just wishy-washy his stuff and they will fart on command. There aren't any rules, any limitations. Same goes for the Harry Potter universe, for example. So I'm not particularly fond on that completely limitless magic, but a nice like middle point between those two. That's my sweet spot. I really like it. There are some limits to magic, like here it tires you out, especially in case of Chise. You need some reagents, you need some ingredients, you need a wand, you need help from the neighbors, right? There are all those mechanics and limitations, but at the same time, lizard in a top hat with hands monitoring the hole, sure, why not? And there isn't really anything to question. It is what it is. That lizard is a thing. His idea of a bride might be different. Yeah, we heard. And we cut away, and we never hear the rest of it. Chise probably wanted to ask what he meant by that exactly. I'm not sure. We'll see probably in the next episode. And this guy, I feel safe as long as I have my earmuffs and goggles. Is there anything that's been making you more anxious lately? So he has some anxiety issues about something, some trauma about mages, maybe. And this is ominous. Do you know of another new student here named Chise Hattori? So Chise makes him anxious. And Philomela arriving in a dark cloud. I really think that enemies to friends will really hold here. I really think so. Also, I think another dynamic they might have is Philomela perhaps trying to like find a secret that Chise has, or trying to learn about her, trying to figure her out, because sorcery has rules and Chise's magic doesn't have rules. It has to have rules. It has to have some fucking rules, and by God, I'm gonna discover them. I think that might be the dynamic as well. Reminds me of My Little Pony, one of the episodes where Twilight was really trying to figure out what the fuck is Pinkie Sense that Pinkie Pie has, and she drove herself mad over it, and in the end the solution was, it is what it is. She just has the Pinkie Sense, and don't question it, don't try to figure it out, it just is what it is. And then they became friends, and something tells me it might be something similar, something in a similar vein. And we see another student. I think this is Chise's roommate. Correct me if I'm wrong. Spider, a regular production of paper. And she is afraid of paper manufacturing. Did she fall into a vat of paper sludge, or is she remembering her past lives, or I don't know. I know those last few moments, right, with this guy, with Philomela, and with her, they kind of felt a little bit tacked on. Like, oh, we have like a few minutes left in the episode, we need to fill them with something, so let's give our viewers some unsettling imagery that will make them curious about the resolution. I don't mind it particularly much, but something that had to be observed, definitely. Also, those scenes were focused on Chise's roommate and Philomela, and we see them being a group, a classic trio of friends in the ending, so it probably foreshadows that it's Philomela and Chise's roommate that will get the most character development, maybe. I don't know, I'm not sure. Oh, that's not the part of the ending, that's That's not the after credits scene, it's the teaser for the next episode. Why does the recording sometimes flash black when I switch scenes in OBS? I don't know, but it does. Okay. This was an episode that answered some questions, sure, but with those few last moments, it really raised many more questions than it gave us answers. So, yeah, they seem to be really stringing us along, right? Oh, here's some answers, you feel good about it, you like having answers. Ha, fuck you, new questions. And I like it. I like the mystery of it. I really, really do. Very often when watching anime, mystery or not, or movies, or reading manga, or whatever kind of media, and they try to create some sort of a mystery, very often it's very easy to tell, either at a glance or after some careful analysis. In this case, it's really not. It's really not easy to tell what's gonna happen. I'm not gonna watch the after credits teaser, and as it stands, I have no clue what's gonna happen in the next episode. Like, sure, I can give some generic predictions of there's gonna be some shenanigans at school, and I saw a frame of them like having a picnic or a study session or something like that, so that's probably gonna happen. But more than that, I don't know. Is the green-haired guy gonna confront Chise somehow for some reason? Is Philomela gonna talk to her, or is she gonna do her espionage attempts? I don't know. I have absolutely no clue what's going to happen, and I like that. I like, for a change, not being able to form any theories. Right? Because many of the shows that I've been watching have some clear paths that they can go episode to episode. This doesn't. We don't even have like a continuous main plot line that I could say, oh, in this episode she found the MacGuffin, so probably in the next episode she will try to analyze the MacGuffin, see what it does, which door it opens, or, stuff like that. Because there is no MacGuffin, there is no quest that she embarks on, there's just vague ideas and some vague plot lines that are stringing along, and we don't know which one of them will be the primary one, which ones will be important and which ones won't be. There is the thing with the weird lab, but we don't really know what's the deal with that either. Are they some evil people who are trying to create monsters? I don't know. Maybe it's just a lab at the school and that's where you have your alchemy studies. Maybe it's going to be solved in the next episode. Maybe it's never going to be solved. Maybe that's going to be the big plot line of the season. I don't know. And that's cool. That's cool. I like it. I really, really did enjoy this episode. And now I am hungry. So I'm gonna have to end it. Yeah, I'm gonna end it here. And you guys, you tell me, what did you think of this episode, my reactions, my theories? Do you know what's the deal with those dogs? Do they come from some mythology or something? I don't know, maybe you do. Tell me all of that in the comments down below. Or on the Discord, it's open link here and in the description. No spoilers, please. I know I'm fair bit behind and there's also manga, so do not spoil. I want to enjoy it myself. Spoilers on Discord work better, so that might be a way. But if you do leave something on Discord, leave it also as a comment to drive the algorithm gods to look better at this episode and my channel as a whole. Like this video if you liked it, dislike it if you disliked it, but tell me why so I can improve for the very same reason. Subscribe to the channel, of course, to be notified of future releases of not only Ancient Magus Bride, but also Witch from Mercury, Benria Saito-san Isekai ni Iku, I still have to finish that. And the streams, I'm gonna be streaming aplenty. We need to have a look at the next season of anime. I'm gonna have to stream the Alchemy Stars event. I'm probably gonna be streaming Tact Op Symphony playthrough as well. And of course, I'm gonna be streaming myself building some Gunpla for the first time in my life. So you might even want to consider clicking the bell icon somewhere next to the subscribe button to be notified of whenever I go live. Support the channel if you want monetarily, for example, on Patreon, linked down below, where for $10 a month you get early access to non-seasonal shows like Madoka Magica, Symphogear that just ended, and others, and for just a single dollar you get a role on the Discord and a place in the credits. And if you don't want to spend any money, you don't have to. You can just share my content, spread the word about it, and that's gonna help the channel an awful lot, believe you me. A lot of traffic, for example, during the Symphogear era, so to speak, came here from Reddit, from people recommending my videos, and you can be part of that change as well. And right now, that's gonna be it for me for today. So as always, you guys do all the good stuff, and I'm gonna see you in the next one. Cheers! And here's my wonderful Patreons: QB Without a Net, Fruitze, Rainer, Akamancer, Yuki, Ally, Fassel, Dr. Watt, Marsh, and Hans Peter. And you can be a patron if you want without the need to visit Rahab.